This is The Scene
on BBC Radio London
with Aurie Styl.
This is The Scene.
All right, so we talked some topics from earlier on that I mentioned to the listeners, and I'm going to mention it to you now, guys. It's a simple question. Is it still necessary for wives to take on their husband's last name when they get married? We know the answer is no in terms of society and the law. You can actually give any surname you want to and from in terms of the marriage. You can even make up a new one if you want to. But we're looking at maybe the idea of individuals who believe they should either take the name or leave it out. And I've got 4 great individuals in here. I'm going to ask you first, Akua, what about you? Take his name, not take his name?
I've always been a bit traditional.
Okay.
I don't mind taking the man to be's name. I might be interested in doing double barrel if I was committed to my surname. I'm not necessarily.
Nah.
Like we've all got. My mum's got her maiden name. She does not want my dad's name anymore. She locked that off.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I've got my dad's surname. Me and my brother got my dad's surname, and then my daughter's got her dad's surname.
Okay.
But hasn't got mine.
Okay.
So it's a hodgepodge.
It's all right then.
If I wanted to, I'd double barrel. I think that's quite nice if I was committed to my name, but I'll take the man's name. But I don't know.
What about him take yours?
He don't need to take mine. If he wanted to, I don't know why. I'm not wedded to it, so I feel like from the man's perspective, it has to be a real reason. Like if I was some sort of legacy child, with a old money
Kardashian.
name. No.
You never know. You never know.
No, some Ashanti warrior name like that.
All right,
something
then.
from my tribe or something from Ghana.
All right,
then
fair enough.
If he wanted to take it, I'm not Kardashian.
You never know that. You said old money name. That's a Kardashian name.
No, it ain't Kardashian for me.
I have a feeling Jobson is going to want to keep her surname, aren't you?
Yeah, I would definitely keep my surname, but I would be open to double barreling. Do you know what I mean? I don't mind. It's not a matter of I wouldn't take on their name, but it's obviously. My surname's a very, very strong Jamaican surname.
Jobsonb.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so and we're very, very proud of our surname, so I'd have to hold on to it and double barrel.
See, my thing with the double barreling, and I mentioned it earlier on, is if let's say you have a child with your partner and they have that double barrel surname and they keep that, and then they meet someone else with a double barrel that just wants to keep that as well. Are we quadruple barreling afterwards when it's a generation below that?
Well,
so imagine it could be Jobson, Smith, Richardson, Franklin, or something like that.
That's how legacy names is how you start, isn't
But listen, do you know how much paper would get wasted in trying to just fill up a form when you got to put your whole name in
also,
there?
Twitter handles are going to be a right laugh, aren't they? Like, can you imagine the Twitter handles? It'll be like all the characters.
Exactly. Double barreling, and
I think double barreled at once, yeah, but bloody hell. I mean, like, for example, if you had a middle name, for example, like... right, for example, my little cousin, her first name is double barreled.
Okay.
So it's like Summer Rose, and then she's got her surname. Do you see what I'm saying? So she has the option to then, obviously, if she wants to when she's older, gets married or whatever, she's got the option to then double barrel her surname, and she's got 2 double barrels in her name. But
Summer
in regards to
Rose,
having 2 double barrel
Jobson,
surnames, I think that's a little bit too far.
It's a lot. But I feel bad. I feel bad because if I was double barreled and I was gonna meet my wife and she double barreled and then we were getting married, I'm like, to make this work.
4 names.
Nah, but that's rude though, isn't it? Because
not really. Because in the end, you've already moved on from the original setting, so now it's like you've got 4 names to choose from. Double barrel the best too from each side.
All right, if you could look at your parents and say, look, I've got to pick which name is better out of you, boy.
Tell them when you're young, right? Just tell them when you're a kid. Tell them it's going to be a competition. Turn it into like a whole thing.
So they go buy you presents.
Put them on edge. Put your parents on edge. They'll never know which one you're going to choose till you get there. Like,
so whoever's got the most presents.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, Mummy, you bought me the PlayStation, but he bought me the car. So, hey, Dad, let's roll with your name.
Where did this whole thing come from? Taking a man's last name anyway. In which culture? Who initiated this whole taking the last name from?
I wonder.
Because a lot of cultures are quite protective over it.
So there's many cultures that I know that it's within. It's not just a thing that is tradition that's passed down. It's something they adhere to from like now. It's tradition that's passed down, but it's not something that is we look back and say, well, that was our history. It's I mean, you said just now earlier when we spoke to you, Shae, that in terms of your upbringing, you're born and raised in Nigeria and you came here, right?
Yeah.
So Nigerian family, that like. From there, you're from there as well. You said, which was interesting, when I asked you about you and your surname, you said, well, I'd have to take my partner's surname. And I said, well, you don't have to.
Yeah. Technically, you don't have to, but
I mean, I wouldn't mind, to be honest. I wouldn't mind. I'm quite traditional in that sense as well. So like, and being the first daughter as well in my household, it's like this big thing of like when I'm eventually married off, I've got to take my husband's name.
You get that pressure, don't you? Innit?
Mad pressure.
Yeah, to find a good husband.
Mad pressure. They're all talking to me about children and these things. I'm like, hold on. But yeah, no, I think I'll be fine with taking my husband's name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we actually have someone in the house who is married, Mr. Matt White.
Yeah, 14 years.
14 years. Wow.
Nice.
I like that. I like that, sir. 14 years.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I got married at 9. I got married when I was 20. It was young. I got married when I was 23. So I got married when I was 23, and to the brilliant Christina. She's brilliant, and she did take my surname, but it was a conversation we had. So we did kind of marriage, what are called marriage preparation classes, but basically where you get together with a married couple you trust and you talk about what marriage is like, because ultimately like having a wedding is cool and stressful, but actually being married is a really big commitment. So it's actually something we do as a couple. We've done it for a couple of other younger couples as well. We've taken them through those kind of
that's amazing.
That is
I've
brilliant.
not heard of that before.
Do you want to know my Archbishop of Canterbury thing? If I ever become Archbishop of Canterbury, which could happen, it couldn't happen. If I became Archbishop of Canterbury, I wouldn't charge to use churches to get married in.
Yeah,
I would just say, if you want to get married in our churches, you have to come and have dinner with a married couple who've been in it for the long haul, and just let them talk
So
to you.
yeah, rather than be about the money, it'd be
So don't make about the money. You can have the
investment in-
organ, you can have the flowers, you can have the whole, you can have the choir, you can have all of it. But all you have to do in exchange is come and hang out with a married couple from this community or this church, whatever it is, and hang out with them and talk about what marriage really means, and then you can have it all for free.
That's amazing.
You are
I like
welcome,
marriage
the Archbishop of Canterbury, if you want to use that. I know he listens. I know he is a huge fan. So
that is a really good idea. I've
So,
never thought about that. That's a really good idea.
But I was really grateful. Like, it's really important. Like, we talked about the name thing, and I was really grateful that my wife chose to take my name. And if it had been a different conversation, we'd have had a different conversation. But it is a loss, like losing the name you've had. Like, my wife was 23 as well, so 23 years of being one name, and then that changes. Like, you have to go through that process together. So that's a big part of it.
See, for me, do you know what it is? The older I get, the more I realise, you know what, even though the name to me, it was important, it's not that it's not important again, it's just whatever family I make with my partner is going to be, it's a continuation of our families, but it's now going to be our new family, and let's go down our generation line, right? I'm the only member of my entire family with my surname on both of my father and my mum's side. So for me, there was always a part of me going, no, I need to continue this surname. This needs to go down. And some people think, well, I got my mum's surname. I don't have my dad's surname. My mum is remarried. My grandmother also remarried as well. And it was literally the ladies' line that passed down my name to me. So whilst they remarried and got new surnames, it's just me left with mine. And I kept thinking, when I have my kids, I'm not leaving this earth, and I'm the only one who's got my surname. But the older I get, the more I'm thinking, you know what? Is it really a thing?
I think it's different. Like, we're in different times now as well. We don't have the whole, how we said, like Game of Thrones, House Starks and all that type of stuff. So it's not, I don't know, that type of legacy is different in this day and age, and things are so fast moving. We got actually remix anything. We
got some people that message in. We got a message from Joy from London. Says, of course she will keep her name. She doesn't feel that she should get her name changed because it's the right way. She has a double-barrel name and she loves it. All right, big up yourself, Joy. Also, Oti said about change of names is patriarchal, plus double-barrel name smacks of illegitimacy. I think basically she's saying like double-barrel name sounds illegitimate. In terms of, you look at someone, you got a double-barrel name, so your parents weren't married, yeah? That's what she's thinking. Wow. That's dread though, isn't it? No, come on. Deep. Even though it's dread, there is a part of you lot in here that can look at it and go, I can see maybe.
I never ever thought like that.
All right, so I know some people, I'm not saying it's
literally
true.
just you, Aurie. It's just you. Everything you just said is just him.
Yeah. Let me stand here and own it right now. Yeah? I will stand here and own it. There are times that I know that parents get together, but they haven't been married, but they have a child, maybe out of wedlock. Fine. That's what happens. But then what they do is they go, rather than go, all right, we're going to take mummy's name or dad's name, they'll go, we'll just give both of our names to the child, even though we haven't decided on what we're doing in terms of marriage and our name. I wouldn't say it reeks of illegitimacy. I never said that yet. Yeah, that was Sarah from Wolverhampton who said that, not me.
My bad.
Right, that weren't me. But I'm just saying, I can kind of get where she thought she may have been coming from. Okay. I'm trying to distance myself even further with that one.
You've done well there, yeah.
I mean. At Sarah, though, at me, because it weren't me. I was just reading out what she said, but I've tried to translate it. That's all it was. Reason this came up, right? I'm gonna just touch on this briefly. Do you guys know the program Backchat?
Yeah.
Right, it came up from the program Back Chat. People were talking on there about the getting married, and someone said, I've been with my guy for about 3 years, and he recently just proposed to me. He is quite traditional, as you were saying earlier on, and I'm the only child. How do I tell him that I would like to keep my last name, or else I would feel like my family name. I would like my family name to live on. And it was like a back and forth. One guy jumped in and said, my wife is going to take my name because where he's from, it's powerful and it also carries weight. Then some of the women were jumping in and said, well, hold on, our names are powerful, it carries weight as well. And it was just a full-on back and forth. And there's never going to be an answer to this. I think it's just specifically down to the individuals.
Yeah, it's down to
It's down to the individual's relationship.
And marriage can be really hard, right? Any relationship can be really hard. So if you're going to start with the hard conversation. If you can get through that one, you're just going to set yourself up for the next one.
That's very true.
Marriage is full of those hard conversations. It's amazing and it's brilliant, but it's also tough. So actually, if it's right there, have that conversation, see what happens, and you're going to learn something about each other.
Fair dues. There you go. See, nice and wrapped up. Next one. How much would you spend on your child for their birthday? Firstly, I know you're a father. Yeah. I know you're a mother as well. Any kids, you two? No. No children myself. So I feel like you lot will have more of an insight on this one as well. And we got maybe not an unrealistic one, but an idealistic one. Like when I got my big money and my child, I'm going to spend big money, or I'm not spending nothing on my. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking from my angle, right? Reason I say that is Gordon Ramsay spent, wait for it, £500,000 just to get Ed Sheeran to come and perform at his child's birthday party. Jasmine had no time for that. He had that big kiss teeth. Wow. £500,000.
How old is the child turning?
18th birthday.
Okay.
I don't think there's an age you can give to me.
Does the child work themselves?
Your dad's Gordon Ramsay. I think just being his child. It's okay.
That's unacceptable.
Jasmine's not up for it at all.
No, not at all. I'm sorry, I'm not standing for none of that.
What if your money is long? Like it's just long.
It don't matter. His money's been long for time. Say, for example, if I was in Hollywood right now, I would not be spending XYZ amount of money on nobody, not even my own party.
Yeah.
No, I have bills to pay.
That's very true. Okay.
I have bills to pay. And even then, regardless of the fact, if I had children, they need to understand that, listen, money don't grow on trees.
Yeah.
You want to spend $500,000 on a party? That's your $500,000 that you're spending. I don't know where you're getting it from. So you best work hard. Are you mad? I'm sorry.
I don't apologise. I see it from. I see what you're saying as well. There's a part of me on both sides. I'm like, I know I wouldn't do it with my child. If I had all the money in the world, I'm not doing it. But then I look up for people and go, if you want to, I get it, kind of thing.
It's all about the numbers, isn't it? If you've got the money where $500,000 is nothing, things start to become affordable in your mindset. And as much as it's easy for me to say now because I don't have that at all to say that, no, my child, I'm not spending that. But if it's a drop in the ocean, then contextually it's like, then that's nothing. But it is definitely about whether the child understands morals, understands that money doesn't grow on trees. If they are good children and all that stuff. My daughter's brilliant. And I think if I had the long money, she could definitely get notes or someone to perform her 18th birthday.
Fair enough.
For whatever for a reasonable price, I don't know.
Jasmine looks stressed. I'm sorry.
I just don't think it's responsible.
No, it depends on...
What part of that is responsible?
It depends on
you could be a billionaire.
Go ahead.
And it's still going to be unacceptable.
But I think it's because it's about whether or not you're struggling to pay your bills after dropping that money. And it depends on if you've raised your child to understand the legacy of money and business.
Jasmine's not having a bar of it. I love it.
You can afford it, because I can't afford it. So it's not happening. But when especially children, they sometimes, especially if you've got good, well, for me, got a good child. My child's first birthday, we had a big party. It wasn't expensive.
Was it 500,000?
No, about £100 or something. Bare people, bare kids in the house and everything. But you do, and some of my friends, we talk about this. We're like, yeah, this year we're not doing it. Then on the week or the day, like, you find yourself in all the shops buying all the stuff, and your kid's got a bag of toys in front of them, and it's just sometimes, especially as parents and you're hardworking parents, that compensation is it's not always about being irresponsible. It's about the fact that if your child deserves it, and if your child you're still teaching them morals and stuff, you can find a balance between spoiling them, which is basically what we're saying, and also, teaching them the right and wrongs of how to handle money.
How old's your little one? Your big one?
Yeah, she's 19, man. 19,
all right. So let's go to the other end of the age group, right? Matt, how old's your little one?
My little boy's 5.5.
Okay.
The half is very important. He'll be devastated if I call him 5.
That's an important
Our kids are
in fact, technically, he's over 5.5, so he is a big 5.
Okay, yes, big 5.
He's a big 5. Look, the thing is, the moment he was born, right, I can absolutely remember standing in the hospital, and we had to be rushed into a theatre so my wife could be operated on, and he was there, and I remember looking at this tiny, tiny baby and going, I am going to love you for the rest of my life. And I can't tell you where that came from. Like, there's nothing in me that's like, I knew I wanted to be a dad, but there's nothing like that moment when you look and you go, I am going to love you for the rest of my life. And the truth is, I was that guy who was like, only ever wooden toys, no screens,
No
he will
TV.
never be in McDonald's. He is going, and the truth is, like, that is just not the reality of life. It's a bit like being a parent is like getting married. So the night my wife went into labour, I was with an old mentor of mine, and it was a really weird story, but as we're walking along the South Bank in London, he says to me, oh, I'll give you the best piece of parenting advice I've ever given. And he said, people tell you when you have a child, your life gets turned upside down. But the truth is, it gets turned the right way up. Yeah. And I rang my wife, and she said, I feel a bit funny tonight. And so I got on a train, came home, and about an hour later, we were in the hospital, ready to have our kid. And so the last words I ever heard were this guy saying this. And so I think what being a parent does is it makes you go, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then you have this baby and it's like, I don't know. So the truth is, I would absolutely love to sit here and say, there's no world in which I could spend £500,000 on my son. There's no world. It makes me feel like you, Jasmine, it makes me feel like sick, like, oh my goodness, what a waste of money. But man, there's also that bit of me that goes, if I had £500,000 and he said, Daddy, I want Ed Sheeran, I'd be like, well, I like Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, literally. Well, I could get Drake for my daughter. Like, if it has, but it has to be the fact that not after that payment's dropped, we're not almost homeless, because that's ridiculous.
It's
It's got to be that. It's got to be contextual, man.
Yeah, and it feels like a huge amount of money, because it is a huge amount of money, and I can hear the people in my life going, "There's no way, there's no way." But I also have to be honest and say the truth is, if I had it, and my boy looks at me and goes, "Daddy," and I think there's a bit of me that can't promise you I wouldn't do it.
Yes,
because I love him, and there's that thing.
Yeah. Shae, you charging $500K to do a kid's birthday party?
Am I charging 500K?
500K, man, to go perform.
Right, you'll put me on blast.
No, I'm saying.
No, it really depends. It really depends.
Because Gordon Ramsay, listen, 80,000 people, trust me, you're on your way to that right now. I'm putting that in your life.
You know
right
what
now.
I'm in the market. If you can get my son to like your music, I'll pay for it. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Look at that. We do business. Nah. I mean, I don't know about charging 500K. It really depends, like, where I'm in my career. But just off the back of what everyone was saying about the birthday party thing and stuff, I feel like we have to remember, that for someone to even get to a place where they are spending that amount of money on their child, like, that's their hard earned. That's what they have worked to get to. Do you know what I mean? Even though it's a lot of money to blow in like comparison to what they're earning and where they're at and all the money that they have worked hard to do, I feel like it's okay. I feel like it's okay for them to want to spend that on their child. Okay. As long as you were saying, you're not broke or you're not left skint afterwards, do you know what I mean? And as long as your child knows that, yes, money doesn't grow on trees and stuff, I feel like it's okay.
I'm giving my child for his first birthday when he exists, I'm spending, my limit is £74. That's food. That's electricity.
That means
gas,
only babies are attending.
That's
and
petrol.
And then we're breastfeeding still.
Yeah, right. What? Are you mean? Do we got to cut costs somewhere, you know? So, Akua, our entertainment correspondent, what you got to tell us?
Quick things. So, some big news for Candice Carty-Williams. She's the author of the book Queenie. She announced it's going to be adapted by Channel 4 for TV, so that's going to be exciting. It was revealed in Broadcast magazine, and then she confirmed by tweet saying, I'm not sure if this is out because I've told the wrong person or because Channel 4 have announced it, but either way, it's true, and I'm excited to bring Queenie to the small screen. So Queenie is about a Jamaican-British journalist struggling to find her place in this world as her love and work life spins out of control. The book covers mental health, race, class, interracial dating and sex in an honest and candid style. It'll be really interesting to see the characters brought to screen. It's been really popular. I don't know if you guys have read it, but it's a really good book. It's very London, and it's not often you get a coming of age book from a British black woman's perspective. Nice. So that'd be interesting. And then other big news in TV world, Nigerian British comedy Meet the Added Banjos. It's finally available to watch on Netflix. Hey. About 7 years after it launched in 2012.
Wow.
So this is a huge deal because the creators Deborah Odutoyo and Andrew Osayemi. Look, I'm so bad at pronouncing Nigerian names because I'm Ghanaian and I'm tribalistic. Can't pronounce you guys' names, man. Okay, they had been trying to find it at home on BBC, Sky and ITV without success, and Netflix were like, no, it's all right, we got you. So now you can get all 3 seasons on Netflix, and there's about 50 episodes, and it's streaming around the world, so it's big news. And Meet the Added Banjos revolves around a Nigerian immigrant family trying to raise their British-born children with their traditional values. You can imagine the culture clashes as you know what happens there. So then also this Friday film release weekend. A lot of stuff's coming out. So you got Blue Story. The premiere was on Thursday. I was down there on the blue carpet, I should say.
Oh, nice.
With the cast and crew. It's exciting to see Rapman's debut get its light. I think people should go out and support it.
Yep.
It's well acted. You know, we have the conversation about hood stories, but it is well acted and pulled together quite nicely. So that's on Friday. And then also Harriet, the story of civil rights activist and the abolitionist who freed over 70 slaves after her own escape from slavery to freedom. That's also coming to cinemas this Friday, and that's starring British actors Cynthia Erivo as Harriet and Zachary Momo as her husband.
Man like Zach?
Yeah, he went to college with, I heard today. I spoke to him earlier on at One Extra. And there's been this controversy about British black actors taking African American roles, and there's also conversation about Cynthia herself playing Harriet, but I think she does a fantastic job, and this conversation needs to be over. We need to come together and stop all this division. Yes, tomfoolery indeed. And finally, 21 Bridges is a US thriller in which Manhattan is locked down as a police hunt for the criminals behind a failed robbery, blah, 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 blah. Chadwick Boseman leads the cast. That's Black Panther, Chiwa and everybody else. And also Stephen James, Sienna Miller is in it. And finally, I quickly wanted to shout out, before we run out of time, the end of your tour.
Oh, yeah. Man done a tour still, you get me?
Your first UK tour?
First? Nah, third.
Last?
Third. It's my third one-man show special UK tour.
Okay, so
But
how was that?
Mad, tiring. You can hear my voice.
Yeah.
It was exhausting, but we had a good time. It was really, really
What was
good.
your favourite town?
Oh, no, don't put me on blast
No,
like that.
it's not. You're not dissing anybody.
Put him on blast.
Who gave you the most love?
Who gave me the most love? I'm going to say London because it's home.
Was it
isn't
London?
I would say London because it's home.
Okay.
Yeah. But love is near enough equal, but I'm going to give it a little edge because it's London.
Because it's London.
Home, yeah.
So what was some of the highlights of the whole tour?
Highlights of the tour. Yesterday was funny. We were in Cardiff, right? One girl, I can't believe we're going to say this. We were talking about basically breaking down stereotypes and racism, right? And you remember the one I was talking about swimming? Yeah? So I did that. There was a woman in the crowd who was talking about how people look at black people and say, the stereotype is you can't swim, right? I basically had to say, look, that is a rubbish stereotype. A woman in the crowd, a young white woman, jumped up and said, oh my God, I can't swim and I sink just like you would. I was like,
wow.
Yo, listen. The whole room flipped.
I would have ripped into it.
Oh no, we did. We did. She became the joke of the whole show.
Wow.
And it was great material afterwards to throw back at her. Every time I had a little reference to say something about a character or a person, if it was a negative character, I would throw in her name. And it worked perfectly. So yeah, that was probably the highlight yesterday for me. It's been loads of stuff like that, but it's been a great tour. And also I go on stage at the end and I talk about things like raising awareness for men's mental health, because it's something that I'm a mad advocate at. I mean, Jasmine, you were there, you saw me talk about it, so I literally go on the end at the show and I say, yo, this is something that means a lot to me, and it's good to go on stage and have a message and be able to use your platform to put
So when are you going to be back on tour?
Oh, the tour, I'm taking a breather, blood.
I said, when are you going to be back? And then I'll just do it tomorrow.
No, I'm working still, but like individual shows and stuff that I get booked to do, but I'm not doing another tour for a minute. I got 2020 to get through.
Okay, can I come on tour with you next?
What would you do?
I'm a comedian too.
I'll sing. If you need anyone to sing, I'll sing.
You got the whole shebang.
You provide, okay, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
We could do a little comedy sketch on stage.
Yeah, all right, we do that,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. And on that note, I'm wrapping the show up. I might anyone want to jump on tour with me like that. Before we bounce, guys, can we get your social medias one more time from this side of the room? Matt, please.
Yes, so at Matt G. White or at God Only News Podcast.
Nice. What about you, Shae?
At Shae's Universe, that's SHAES followed by Universe.
Nice. Jasmine?
Jasmine Jobson on Instagram, Jobson Jasmine on Twitter, and JJobson17 on Snapchat.
Nice.
And
And
I'm
Akua.
on the British Blacklist on everything, and always here, making Aurie's life better.
And my name is Aurie Styler, at Aurie, AURIE, Styla, STYLA, on all social medias. Big thank you to my guests for coming down. Much love, guys. Much appreciated. You're welcome back anytime, three of you especially. And I'll be back next week. Queer, we'll consider. I'll be back next week, Monday, 8 until 10. Take it easy. This is The Scene on BBC Radio London. I'm going to hand it over to the amazing Duncan Barks right after this track. Later, guys.